I took the Zoom presentation that the tech integration specialists, Rick and Matt, made, and I kind of took that information and kind of retrofitted it and put in some more things specific to what you all do as paraprofessionals in supporting your students. And so this is supporting students in Zoom specifically for paraprofessionals. My name is Stacy Banks. I'm one of the assistive technology consultants in our district, and Heather Weaver is with us as well. She is going to be hopefully as best she can, because she's at our office, which has sketchy connection. She's going to kind of moderate the chat for me, because I can't multitask in that way. If I look like I'm looking over this way, it's because I'm looking at my other screen. So again, we're here for Zoom, supporting your students with Zoom as paraprofessionals. Again, that link is available in the chat. And if you click on it, you can't click on this one on the screen, but if you click on it, you'll be able to see some of the other hyperlinked things that I'm going to share throughout the presentation. And again, if you have any questions, because this is a small group, feel free to raise your hand with either your real hand or the raise hand feature in the participants window, or just kind of unmute yourself and ask your question, because again, it's small, and if I give you a minute to get a question in there, feel free to interrupt and do that. So we are going to get started. Today's agenda is pretty simple. It's the purpose of this training is to talk a little bit about Zoom and how you can use that to support your students' engagement. We'll also talk a little bit about the controls and features, some best practices, a little bit about using visuals with your students, and I give you access to some documents that will help you do that, and then kind of take a little bit of a deeper dive into some of the Zoom features, and then end with some ideas and activities that you might see your teachers using, but that you may, depending on how you work with your students, be able to use as well. So the good thing about Zoom in this virtual environment is that it allows you to kind of maintain that connection with your students. Although we're not face-to-face, it does allow you to stay connected live, at least in a virtual way, with your students. We're hoping that it helps you provide enough support for instruction for your students, and then of course answer questions, and then assist them in collaborating with their peers, whether you're in a Zoom group with the whole with your whole class, or kind of one-on-one with a few students. We're also hoping that Zoom can maximize your learning, or maximize your students' learning, and minimize their frustrations with not being able to be face-to-face. And we're going to start with looking at the Zoom controls. So you guys have been in this game now for over a month, and so you are familiar with the controls, but I wanted to kind of give you this visual to show you that there are some differences between host and co-host controls and the participant controls. And so if you've only been a participant in your Zoom meetings with your class and with teachers, you would see that bottom control panel. So, oopsie, let me not put that over that. That's going to be in the way now. You would see that bottom control panel that gives you mute, unmute, stop your video, participants, share screen, chat, and reactions. That the top control is the host controls, and that has a variety of other options, specifically the security feature, which allows you to enable security features that lock a meeting or require a waiting room, and it also gives your participants other access to things like share screen. You can, as a host, invite participants in. You can look at that participants panel and give them some more features if needed. You can record the meeting. That's something that participants can't do. You, as a host, not a co-host, but as a host, you can create breakout rooms, and then hosts are able to enable closed captioning and end a meeting. So there are some differences with the controls. And again, if your teacher is giving you co-host access to your meeting, you will have more of the host controls on your control panel. By raise your hand, does anyone get co-host while they're in their meetings with staff? It would be helpful if your teacher does allow you to be a co-host, because it will allow you to chat individually with your student. And so as one of the options for chat, as a co-host, or as a host or a co-host, you can speak specifically to your students. So that wouldn't be a bad idea for your teacher to give you that co-host option, because that will allow you to chat individually with your student if you're a one-on-one para. So moving deeper into the controls, there are some different views in Zoom, and I'm sure you're familiar with them at this point. You have the full screen view where you're seeing like the kind of the featured speaker, the person that is speaking. And then you also have gallery view, which allows you to see all of your students. And then also deeper into the tools, there are on several of the tools, the mute and the stop video and the participants, you have a little caret that opens up further settings for audio. So for this one, the mic caret opens up some features that allow students or staff to test their audio to make sure things are working correctly, to turn down your sound. I found even when my son has been in his Zoom meetings that I was around, some students' volume was really, really high. And I would suggest if you see that you have them go in and adjust their sound so that they're not so loud. The chat window is a tool that some teachers use, allow students to chat back and forth with one another or with the host and co-host. Again, the security feature, that's something you'll only have if you're a host or a co-host. And that allows you to do things like lock a meeting, to enable a waiting room, allow participants to share screens, chat, rename themselves, and then it also allows you to remove participants if you need to. And then the same thing with the camera. You have the ability to change which camera you use, and if you're on a PC, which I know you guys all have Chromebooks, but if you're on a PC, there's also some settings that allow you to change your virtual background. So those are kind of a deeper dive into the tools on the toolbars and the view and settings. Any questions so far on those? Anyone having trouble with accessing and using those tools? I know you guys have been in this game for a minute now, so you're old hat at this. So we'll keep it moving. The thing that you probably haven't talked a lot about is some accessibility features that Zoom has built in for your students that might benefit your students as well as all students, and also might benefit you. So again, there are a couple different types of accessibility features that are either built right into Zoom or can be used with Zoom through the Chromebook. And the first one I want to talk about is pinning video thumbnails. You have the ability, if you roll over any thumbnail of a video in here and click on the three little buttons like it shows on the picture, you have the ability to pin the video of a specific student or teacher. And so for you as a para, you might pin your student's video so that you can really see them, not within the whole group of students, but really focus in on them. You might also ask them to either pin their teacher or pin you so that they can see you without being distracted by the other students. I know that a lot of students like to have the whole gallery view open, but again, right away I noticed that really distracted my son. So I told him to start pinning his teacher so that he saw that focus on his teacher like he should be doing in class. And so that is a feature. Again, if you roll over a thumbnail, just like on this picture, you click those three, the more button, those three dots, and you will get the ability to pin that video. And so that might be something you talk to your students about. The next one, which works on the Chromebook. So if you have students that you know are using a Chromebook, you can have them turn on voice dictation. Voice dictation is a Chromebook accessibility feature. And when they turn that on, and again, if you once you go to this presentation on your own, you'll be able to click this link. It will tell you how to turn on that Chromebook accessibility feature. And what this does is it gives them a little microphone like this in the lower right-hand corner of their Chromebook that will allow them in the chat mode to click on that and voice type into the chat. So I know for some students, it is very difficult for them to type into the chat while they're trying to listen to a video or while they're trying to be in a Zoom meeting. And so that gives them the ability to quickly voice type into that chat, which helps them be more engaged in that meeting. There is the ability for the host to turn on closed captioning, and that works with, it works in a couple ways. There is third-party captioning that another company can do, but there is a cost to that. But there's also a way for a host to give a participant closed captioning rights, and then they would have to type it in. So if you, for instance, were your teacher's closed captioning participant, you could type in what they were saying. Now that seems like it would be a lot for me, but there is the ability to do that in Zoom. There is also the ability to get an audio transcript of recorded meetings. And again, that is produced by Zoom. So it will go through and transcript the meeting if it's recorded. And then the last one, there are access to some keyboard shortcuts that might benefit some of your students that are mobility impaired or need to have a way to kind of quickly, switch between cameras. Lots of different shortcuts that they can use directly on the keyboard. Any questions about some features you can use for accessibility in Zoom? Okay, I'm gonna move on. That voice dictation one has been like a game changer for my son, because he can actually engage in and kind of chat with his teacher and his and other students in class. So that's a good one. The next one, really quickly, and this is again.
For a second?
Oh yeah. Yep.
When they use that voice dictation, is it muting them for the rest of the I guess I'm not understanding how the rest of the meeting isn't hearing them.
Yeah, so the way that works is they keep their mic muted. So like I can voice chat. So like I'll show you right now. I'm gonna mute my voice and I'm gonna voice chat into there. So I'm gonna mute my. Just kidding, I forgot I'm not on my Chromebook. But yes, they mute their mic. So make sure that their mic is muted, and hopefully their mic stay muted for most of the meeting, but they'll mute their mic and then they just put their cursor right into the chat, and then they'll hit the little button in their lower right-hand corner and it will allow them to speak. And so they're completely muted, but they can chat. I'm sorry, I wasn't very clear with that. Yep. Am I still sharing my screen? Yeah. We're on best practice for Zoom calls. Yeah, hopefully. So I'm like, I can't tell now if I'm sharing still. Okay. So again, best practices, you guys are kind of far into this game already, but for you and students, make sure that they're aware of their background. Choose a space that doesn't have a lot of clutter in it so that you're not distracting other students. Again, want to make sure that everyone kind of gets in the practice of muting themselves, especially when they enter, to kind of reduce the noise and confusion that might come with everyone coming in unmuted. Definitely in terms of letting, a teacher might have a different way that they want students to engage, whether they want them to physically raise their hand using the reaction or the participant toolbar, all those kinds of things. So those are things you guys have moved through. I really have to work on embracing that pause, giving students a moment to kind of like get their thoughts together before they talk. Or again, if they're using that comment section or the chat section, allowing for enough time for students to type in a comment. And then also for teachers, again, it isn't crazy for them to add you as a co-host. It's not like it's giving you any control of class or anything that they wouldn't want. But it allows you to assist them in moderating the chat and things like that. There was also some concern when we first moved to Zoom about Zoom bombing, and so there is some information about Zoom bombing and how to avoid that, and tips and tricks for teachers using Zoom, and then also some Zoom task cards that you can kind of check out and look at. So again, just best practices, more kind of for teachers, but definitely with you in mind as well. So again, when you're starting with working with your students and teachers starting a Zoom call, it's always good to kind of start with small chat, small talk, and get people used to kind of being in the session and getting prepared. Thinking about, instead of just jumping straight into the lesson, just like you would do to kind of a classroom warm up in class. And that's something good for you to also be aware of when you're working, especially one-on-one with your students, just kind of getting over that small talk and helping them be more relaxed. I don't know how many of you are working with students that are new to you this year that you've never met, but again, we're still trying to build those relationships, and it's good to kind of not just jump right into the academics of it. And you guys have a kind of a different situation as you're working with young adults and in more focused on functional life skills, and so that's something easier for you to do, and you're not jumping directly into those academic talks. So in terms of working with your teacher, might be beneficial, especially if you're working to support your students to have access to lesson materials prior to the Zoom call. So that might be if they're going to share a document during that hour, or share a document, or share manipulative thing like that, that you might have access to those ahead of time. And so it might be something you talk to about your teacher, say, what are you guys doing today? And then you kind of have those materials on your Chromebook prepped and ready to share, especially if you're going to be supporting a student with a specific activity. The teacher might share it with you in advance so that you're ready to like get right into that with the student. And so there are some examples of lesson materials that teachers might share with you, whether you're doing a reading passage or some specific manipulatives they might be using, other types of applications that they might use, so that you can be prepared to work with and support your student when you get to that point. A quick pro tip is if as much as possible, have those tabs open and ready on your device when you're going to work with your students. So if I was going to do something with math and I have some specific math manipulatives, or something in Seesaw that our students were doing, I'd have that up and ready to click to if you're in a meeting with them, or if you're in a breakout room with them, that you can share right away. Moving on, using visuals. This is something that is more specific. This is something I added to this presentation that was not in the presentation that we did before, but probably more important for the students that we work with. We want to make sure that we're using visuals to support student engagement. And so within this slide, I gave you a link to lots of different documents that can help you do that. So this is a poster that if you click on the link, it will take you to a PDF for you to print that link. And again, it's just giving them those visuals. Are you ready for your meeting? Are you in the Zoom zone? Is your camera on? Is your mic off? Remember to use your hand signals, and then also to be focused. This is a social story. If your students are struggling with just being in Zoom, it's a social story that you can review with your students on what being in a Zoom looks like. And this one is for a little bit younger students. I did find one that I didn't get a chance to add in here for some older students that talk a little bit more about behaviors at a level of the students that you're at. But again, social stories, visual schedules are really good. And those are things that you can share with them either by holding it up like we're on this right now, or sharing with them digitally. Visual prompts, these are really good. Especially if you don't want to interrupt and you find your students not focused. What these visual prompts, when you click on this link, will take you to a PDF that will allow you to print off some cue cards that give them a visual prompt of what they need to do. Start your video, unmute, stop your video, all those things that you can just hold up, and it'd be a nonverbal way for you to engage your student. So that is when you click on that link. And then of course, choice boards, giving them either sending them to them digitally, sharing them just within the screen. What do you want to do right now? So those are ways that we can engage our students in a different way than having to always verbally speak to them over the Zoom or try to chat with them. Just give them that quick visual as to what they should be doing at any given time. Any questions about using those visuals? Again, when you click on these links, it will take you to copies of these things that you can print out. Those visual prompts are really nice because again, it's a way for you to non-verbally engage your student while you are in a meeting, especially when they're off task. I feel like I would need to hold those up to my son when he's not engaged at all in his Zoom meeting. So moving forward, video breakout rooms. How many of you guys, are you guys using video breakout rooms? Raise it up if you are. Okay, so video breakout rooms, the bad part about video breakout rooms is you can only create them as a host, and your teacher is generally the host in your meeting, but it is a great way for teachers to use that feature to break up lessons in small groups or create a room for working with individual students to enforce or to reinforce what they're learning. Again, with breakout rooms, teachers can manually or automatically divide students into small groups. As a host, the teacher can bounce between those groups. And I imagine the way you guys are using it is your teacher is putting you in a breakout room with your student to give them additional support. Now, I know, and I'm going to ask you guys because I'm not real sure, I know that I had heard that you guys weren't in breakout rooms individually with your students. Is that the case? Or you are in breakout rooms with your students individually? Okay, I don't know. I heard it. I don't, but who knows what I hear. So
we are with like small groups. Like
small groups. So like you're never gonna like be chilling in the breakout room with just one student. Is that kind of how it works?
Only if they just need a lot of
Yeah.
personalized attention. It
Okay.
does happen occasionally, but
Okay.
not on a regular basis.
Okay. I just don't want to tell you guys to do something that they're like, they told us not to do it. And so like, so you guys know what you're able to do, and you know, following the recommendations that you've been given. But that is a great way for you to kind of, again, give that individual attention to your students.
Actually, we have a lot of I'm not sure what the word is, liberty, freedom. They're not.
Yes.
Yeah, so we actually probably do a lot more than maybe some other paras here.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing. Yeah, I don't want to, again, I don't want to tell you guys something. Don't think anything I said trumps anything anyone else has said. I'm just here sharing the information.
No. Thank you.
Yeah. So again, breakout room is a great way to be able to work individually with students. And you guys, again, been in this game for a minute and pretty familiar with how probably it works. So again, you have to be a host to create a breakout room, and the way they do it is they click, as a host, you click on that breakout button. It allows you to either just throw them all randomly into a breakout room, or to be very specific about which rooms that students are in. And again, as a para, you are likely in a breakout room with a small group or with other students, and the teacher can kind of bounce between those rooms. Moving on, some of the other things your teacher might use, and again, it's unfortunate because this is not available to you on a Chromebook. There is a whiteboard feature that teachers can share. If they're sharing their screen, they can share a whiteboard feature, which allows them, especially when you're using a touchscreen device, to kind of do some things right on that whiteboard. But I'm going to scoop past it pretty quickly because you guys don't have that. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about a feature that is available to you, especially when you're working one-on-one with your students or with a small group. There is also annotation features that are not available on the whiteboard, which is really sad because, or on the Chromebook, which is really sad because what I found them good for is if I'm working with a student and they don't really know where to click, I can turn on those annotation features and kind of like circle, like click on this button. But unfortunately, that is not something right now that is available on the Chromebooks. Hopefully, that's something that will be available later because it is really nice in a meeting when I'm sharing a screen to be able to like click there, or when they're sharing their screen, here's the button, you know, click on that button. But hopefully, again, those will be available in the future for Chromebooks because I know that's what devices you guys are using. Your teachers may be polling your students. There is a way as a host to poll students right in the meeting. But again, there are some other ways to do that, and that's not necessarily something that this group probably does very often, but it is an option. Brain breaks, and I wonder if you guys, I'm not sure if you guys use this, but there are ways to just kind of, oh, the link to Go Noodle went away. I'll have to fix that. Another way for you guys to give your students kind of a moment to pause, take a break, even though they're in the meeting, have them walk away, do some stretches. You could share your screen and present a Go Noodle, which are fun even for adults. But then there's also some things I'm going to talk a little bit about that while you're working with students. Specifically, this classroomscreen.com is really nice, and we'll get to that closer to the end. I wanted to leave some of these things in there. Again, they're a little bit more for teachers, but it gives you an idea, especially if you're working with your students and you need a way to engage them, that these things are available for you as well. Doing a quick scavenger hunt. If you find your student is not really engaged, doing some fun activities that will help them re-engage. And so there are lots of scavenger hunt, other activities that are available at this link. And moving on to the thing that you can do with your students, and that is Jamboard. How many of you guys know about Jamboard? Raise your hand. It is a Google thing, and it's super fun. And because you guys do have a little bit more autonomy with the way that you can work with students, this is something you might really want to check out. Jamboard, again, is a Google tool that works really good on your Chromebook. And there is a video here that I won't play right now, but that I can have you guys watch. Ooh, what time do we have to be done with this? What time do you guys need to be done with me? It's 10:45. You don't know? Okay, we're just winging it. Okay, if you feel like you got it.
11:15.
11:15. Okay, I'm like I gotta go. But Jamboard is an interactive or collaborative whiteboard that you can use with your students very easily within Zoom. And what's cool about it is when you do it, you can save the canvas that you use and share that with your students later. So lots of cool ways to use it. You can use it when you're presenting slides, and basically it gives you a blank canvas, kind of like a whiteboard that if you share it with your student, both you and your student can put things on. And so again, when you're presenting, you can add files from your drive right into your Jamboard and then use all kinds of tools. And I'll show you how to do it in just a second. You can, again, do some problem solving. So you can kind of upload a background grid. So like graph paper, you can a little less easy on the trackpad, but you can do writing. And so you could kind of work through problems. You can use it for mind mapping. So there is ways to put in sticky. So if you guys are doing kind of like you're trying to kind of brainstorm an activity or do something, you can have, you can put a bunch of sticky notes and do some kind of sketch noting and mind mapping. Again, you can use a graffiti wall, so they can put all kinds, they can put in pictures, they can write on, they can add different links into a jam. And then they can also do things like interactive timelines or some sort of sequential activity where they're putting things in. Again, you can use it across curriculum, you can use it in breakout rooms. It's just a kind of a canvas, a blank canvas you can share with your students and that you guys can both work on. So I'm going to quickly exit out of it real quick and show you how it works. And so if I was to start from my drive, because it is a Google tool, you can start a new jam from here. I can go to new, and then things will show up more. My computer's going to be slow today. Oh, this is not, hold on one second, let me try this again. So I can go to new, I can go down here to more, and if I go right down here to Google Jamboard, it's going to open up jamboard.google.com, which is another way you can get to it, and it basically opens up a brand new Jamboard for me, which is again a blank canvas that I can do all kinds of things. I can use a pen, I can erase, I can use a select tool, I could add in sticky notes. I can change the color of the sticky note. And again, this is shareable. So if I was to share, of course it's going to be slow, cancel that one. I can move these around. If I share this with a student, then we can collaborate in real time right on this board. Another way that you can share it with students really quickly is you can, again, copy this is just URL, it's web-based, so I can copy that URL. I can put that right into the chat. Actually, I probably shouldn't do it that way. I should go like this. I should hit share, open it up to anyone in Plymouth Canton, change it to editor so that they can edit it, copy that link, and paste that right into the chat. And then all of you, after you click on that link, could start editing that board. And again, what's nice about it is once all of your students edit that board, and again, they can put in pictures, they can put in text box, whatever they want. All of you, if you clicked on that link, can add to that board. And when I'm finished, what's nice is you can save that board as a PDF and then share that with your students. So if you were doing some work with your students where they needed to kind of get some information down, you can save that for them for later as a PDF. So that is a nice way for you to work collaboratively with your students on a variety of tasks. So that is Jamboard. Any questions about Jamboard? It's kind of fun. I just recently started using it. I kind of like it. It doesn't suck. But again, they're used to Google at this point. They're used to how you share things, so that is something that's easy for them to get to. The last one that I didn't know anything about, well, I think I learned about it, but it kind of came back to me when I saw this presentation, is classroomscreen.com. And this is really cool because this allows you to have a bunch of those fun widgets, and they're free, that you can use within a meeting. So if I clicked on that link, I haven't signed up for this, so I'm like a fully free account. I haven't signed up at all, but you see, it gives me kind of a canvas, which you can change. but it gives me access to all these different widgets that you may use with your students in a meeting. So in a breakout room, if we were playing a game where we needed some dice, I can choose different dice, and you probably can't hear that because I didn't turn on sound, but basically I just can re-roll the dice and it makes a little dice sound. So that's something you can use for a game. You can check the sound level. You can do, here's where you change your background. You can pick a different background if the kitty's just too cute for you. You can pick just, again, a blank color. There is a traffic light. So this can be just an idea. You can give students an idea of what they need to be doing right now. They need to be silent. They can talk quietly. They can talk loudly. So that is a widget that you can use as a visual for students. Same thing with the timer. You can turn on a timer. And once you start it, what's nice is it starts counting it down, but it also gives them a visual. So again, if you're in a meeting and you want them to work for 5 minutes quietly, you can use these together. This is time for you to work quietly. You're going to work for 5 minutes. And then when that alarm goes off, then you could talk again. Lots of different tools that you can use within Classroom Screen where you don't have to verbally engage with them, because sometimes when we talk too much, that's an issue. I might give directions, work for 5 minutes. So now I don't even need to talk to, oops, I didn't type. So now I don't need to talk to them at all, but they're very clear on what they need to do. Okay, so that is classroomscreen.com. Again, I'm not at all paying for this. I haven't even signed up. I just went to the website and that's what it allows me to do. Again, you see it saves your screen. So if you use those same kind of tools all the time, you could just save that screen and go back into it. So that is classroomscreen.com. Again, another way for you to engage with your students when you're working with them individually or as a group. And let me put that in here. Go back to home and put that. Oh, Heather did it already. But let me. There we go. So that is Classroom Screen. Again, cool tool that I forgot about until I saw it again. Last one, I'm going to end with some other ways for you to engage with your students. When you go to this presentation on your own, you can click on this link for some Zoom games to play with your students. And then also other ways for you to engage with your students. And again, that might be in that time where you're just kind of like trying to get warmed up to class, some things you might do very quickly with your students. And then we are now at the end, at the time for questions and answers. If anyone has any questions, we've got a few minutes right now that we can answer some questions. But if you have some questions after you leave, you can go to either the Digital Teaching Hub or the Home Learning Hub, and they have some more information about Zoom. Oh, I forgot there is something else I have to do. You can put in a service ticket if you feel like you're having an issue with Zoom with tech integration. And then last but not least, although this is covering it up, you can connect with us, Heather and Stacy, in the A&IT department by clicking on the link at the bottom. And so that is a way that you can email us directly. And our email, obviously, separately is stacy.banks@pccs-k12.com or heather.weaver@pccs-k12.com. But if you want to get us both at our department, it's just AIT@pccs-k12.com. So that is the end of the presentation. The only other thing I want to talk to you guys about today is something that we are doing for paraprofessionals in the special ed department this year as a resource for you to learn more about lots of things that might benefit you on your job. And so what we've done is we've built a Canvas course that we are going to share with you. And so right now, we gave you some training in Zoom. But you're probably like, I could use a little bit more training in Chrome or in using the Chromebook or with Canvas. And so what we have done is we've created a course that will be shared with you in Canvas probably Monday morning because we're still fixing some of the details. And it's called Essentials for Success for PCS Paraprofessionals. So you will probably Monday morning have access to this in your Canvas course. I'm going to add you as a student in this course. And so when you click on the course right now, what you will see is there are going to be a variety of modules for you to kind of move through at your leisure. So right now there is a module about Zoom, which will kind of be a refresher of what we just talked about. There is going to be a module about the Chromebook and how to use the Chromebook for you, but also to help support your students. And there will be a course with some more information specific to you and how your students use Canvas, because you don't necessarily need to learn how to be you don't need to be a teacher and build content, but you do need to be able to help your students access that content. So those are the modules that are going to be in there right now, but we are going to, throughout the year, add modules moving forward. And this is going to be very similar to the way that you will also do your PD for the November 3rd PD Day. It won't be within this specific course, but you are going to, just like the teachers, be able to access training sessions for that November PD within a Canvas course format. And so we want to make sure that you're really prepared to do that. And this is going to be the start of the way that you can learn a little bit more about things. And again, as we move through the year, we did that initial interest survey with paras, and we'll be adding some more things. So it might be some more things specific to communication, or maybe AAC, or read and write for Google. So there will be, at some point, a variety of modules down here that you'll be able to click on and kind of choose your own adventure and learn at your own pace. We do ask that if you do the courses, there will be a knowledge check. Again, that's optional, but it just helps us to make sure that you know what you need to know in terms of working with students, but then also it helps us see where we can provide some more support. So this is something that you will probably get an email about tomorrow. I'm going to put together an email about like what this is, when you're going to get it, and then you'll get access to it most likely on Monday. And we kind of ask that you kind of go through those first couple modules when you have a chance, just to learn more about those type things. And again, when you click on them, really pretty simple. Generally, you don't have access. I don't have access. Generally, there's going to be information in video tutorials, or quick guides that you can print out. So we've really tried to make it as user-friendly and kind of in different modalities that people like. Some people like watching YouTube videos. Some people like to have that printed out instructions on how to do things step by step. So we're going to kind of try to include all of that in there. And again, just like teachers, this is kind of the modality, the way that we're moving in terms of PD, especially for this year, needing to be virtual. And so we hope it's going to be a nice place for you to go if you're like, I'd like to learn a little bit more about the Chromebook, or I'd like to learn a little bit more at Jamboard, or how to use read and write with my students. Well, we're hoping that becomes kind of a place where we can put that information for you to access when you have time and when you feel like it, and at your own pace and at your own, on your own time. And again, if there's anything you think, hey, this would be really, I know a lot about topic A, but like, I don't think a lot of people do. That's something that you can let us know, and we can add that to this Canvas course. So it's really important for us to collaborate with you, to give you a tool for making your life easier, making it better for you, and moving forward for others that do the same job that you do. So any questions at this point? No questions. Okay, that's awesome. Again,
Sorry, I do. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yep, go ahead.
So you mentioned you were going to email it to us, the presentation, so we can kind of click on all the different, go through and click on it.
Yes. So I'll share that with, I'm going to put it in there one more time in the, oh wait, I should probably do it this way. I always do it the wrong way. So I'm going to copy it and put it in there one more time for you guys in the chat. And if you opened it right now, then you'd have access to it, but I will also email you. And so like, what I'm probably going to do is you'll probably see an email tomorrow from us that says, here's, everyone's now been through the Zoom training. Here's a link to that. This year, we're going to have this new Canvas course, Essentials for Success. That link will be in there, and then you'll probably get access to that course in Canvas on Monday. And so again, you'll be a student in that course, and you'll have access to it on Monday. There is one other thing that we're working on with with curriculum instruction, and it's building a paraprofessional role for you in Canvas. And what that is that's going to be, I don't know, what do you guys right now, and everyone can unmute, it's fine. What access do you have to Canvas courses for your teachers right now? Are you guys just observers? Are you TCs? Are you teachers? What do you got? What access do you guys have to your Canvas course?
I think we have full access because we can edit.
Okay, so you guys already, you guys aren't the ones I'm really worried about. If you have teacher access to your teacher's Canvas course.
Actually, we do. Yeah.
Okay, so you guys are good then. Okay, well then this won't be for you, but there's some pairs in the district that their teachers have only given them like observer access to Canvas, which is kind of like what you give a parent, and it doesn't give them a lot of leeway in terms of what they can do. So we made a new role called paraprofessional that allows paras a lot more access than just observer. And so but you guys, that won't pertain to you. The good thing about being a teacher or a paraprofessional in a course is that you can open your teacher's Zoom meetings if they're not there. So that is something as a teacher you're able to do. So if they were gone, if they were gone for the day, you can go into that Zoom class that they've scheduled within Canvas and open that. So that's where like observer level wasn't good enough because like they can't help. Like I can't open a class if my teacher's not there. So if you guys have full access, then you're good to go. You guys are way ahead of the game. So, but there will be some. Oh yeah, go ahead, Jody.
So you said that we could open up their Zoom link.
You should be, if they've scheduled that meeting within. So like if I've gone in and in one of my courses right here, if they are using, so some teachers, and this is kind of the downside that we didn't get like really straightforward training around this. Some teachers are using just like, I've got a button that goes to my personal room and it's not a scheduled meeting. You may be able to open that, but I'm not sure. What you were able to open is if your teacher has used the Zoom navigation feature here that your students can see this on the left, and you've scheduled, the teacher has scheduled me, like see right now I have no meeting scheduled in here. But if I scheduled a meeting as a teacher in this area, went through and saved it, and it showed up here, you would be able to open it as a co-teacher in this Canvas meeting. So you would be able to navigate to that in yours, you would see that scheduled meeting and you'd be able to open it as a teacher.
Okay.
So it's kind of like alternative host. Your teacher can make you an alternative host, but when there's a lot of pairs, it's like, who do I make my alternative host? So this kind of does the same thing. It allows any person that is a teacher in a course to be your kind of your alternative host and open those meetings. And if it doesn't seem to work, that would be something you want to put a ticket in, like, hey, I couldn't open my teacher's meeting in a course or in a Zoom meeting that they scheduled within Canvas.
Okay, I'm sorry, can you show me that just one more time? Because I know like the students, like we can click on the Zoom button on the home page.
Yeah.
But
so,
how would I try to open their meeting one more time?
So this is the problems, and we'd have to talk to Julie or whoever, some teachers, if they have a button that goes directly to their personal Zoom link. So that's what this button does. If this goes to my personal Zoom link, and that's not something I don't think that you can open. But if they have used this left side navigation where Zoom is visible to their students, when they click on Zoom, it's going to take them to meetings their teacher has scheduled. So like the meeting that I gave you guys today, that was a scheduled meeting. And if I schedule a meeting within this Zoom within Canvas and Zoom, you would be able to open that meeting. So it would have to show up here. So for example, let me see, like my son's teacher, I'm going to show you my son's course just real quick. His teacher schedules their meetings. And so as a student or as a teacher, when he goes into his class, he sees that list of classes that were scheduled. And if there was a paraprofessional in my son's class, that teacher would be able to open up that paraprofessional would be able to open up. Of course, it's not going to work. Michael Jordan's dangerous. Okay, my son's got some sort of dangerous malware extension attached to his computer. So within my son's course, he has the access to his teacher's this button on Zoom. And if there was a paraprofessional in this class, they would be able to open up this meeting, because see, these are all scheduled in here. So if Julie's not scheduling meetings yet, one, she's going to have to start scheduling them, because I guess they're going to tell teachers that they need to be scheduled for that reason. So subs or paras can open these meetings. So that's going to be something that she might have to adjust if right now she's just using that Zoom button. And the good thing is easy way to do it is if she is in that meeting, or if she has it go to her personal Zoom, what she can do is just change that button to go to this Zoom page. So it'll give your students an extra click, but I can change this live button to go directly to this Zoom page instead of going to a button, you know, instead of going right to a personal Zoom. So it will add a click for your students, but at some point we're going to need to start recording or start scheduling the meetings right in Canvas, so that the students can go directly to the meeting, but that other subs or other paras can open them up. So that's the only thing that may change for your kids in the near future. And I think that that's something that they're going to message out of the tech integration or tech department for teachers. So we have about 10 more minutes. Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you guys so much for coming. Again, that link to the presentation, I'm going to put it in one more time in case you guys don't have it. And if you click on it right now before we leave, you will have that open, and you can kind of click on some of those links that were in there, especially if you feel like those Zoom, I really like those Zoom visuals to kind of hold up so you don't have to talk, but like this is the button I'm talking about, people click on this button. That would be something that would definitely benefit your friends. Again, we'll give you some more information probably tomorrow, and we'll kind of go from there. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to always email Heather and I, or go to the Digital Teaching Hub, the Home Learning Hub, and we can get you some help. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so
being
much.
my first participants. I'm going to stop the recording, and